If they're giving monies to a government organization that is manipulating wildlife, that is basically devastating our ecosystems, I don't see how they can be good stewards. 1.5 to 2.5 million predators killed at the tone of $115 million a year. That's huge. That's messing with our ecosystems. And they're doing it on behalf of both ranchers and hunters to make sure that the deer populations are up and the predators are gone. Deer and other huntable species, target species. So how can you say that you're a good steward to the environment if you're involved in that process in any way, if you're giving money that's being used for those kind of purposes? I think it would be unfair to say that only hunter monies are used for conservation. Obviously there's other tax dollars that go into that and different funding. So the hunter monies are used for certain things, but that has to be supplemented, and as noted, the Pittman-Robertson monies come from people with pistols. And there's also tax monies that are used for things like predator control. And predator control is, of course, not just on behalf of hunters, it's done on behalf of hunters and ranchers. But still, that's my tax dollars going for two things that I would rather not fund. I don't want to change ecological systems, change the numbers of animals, to warp them for the sake of ranching and hunting. That's not what I want on my public lands. I want my public lands to be natural and to be left alone. I want us to foster somewhere on the planet something that is untainted by humans. And hunter monies are not doing that, and my tax dollars are not doing that, and that is because of the power of ranchers and hunters, the power of their political influence. All of this predator control is on the basis of just a minuscule number of kills that actually happen because of wildlife. And one of the problems is that sometimes ranchers can get compensation if wildlife has killed an animal. So whether or not whether or not a predator actually killed that sheep or calf or pig, it might get reported as that because there's money involved. So one thing is it's hard to get accurate statistics because there's money involved. And the second thing is that even with those statistics, it's extremely small. And I would have to guess, and I don't like to guess, but my sense is it's in the point percentile. It isn't even up to 1. I know that hunters really do care about conservation, that they are interested in the wilderness. Okay, again, maybe not all of them, but the vast majority of them. And so then the question is, if they really care about conservation, how again are they going to look at this archaic system that we've got going, and what changes do they want to make? I think that with ecosystems you want to leave them alone as much as you can, and we need to be watching, and then we need to think carefully, because when humans get an idea that somehow they're going to fix a problem, an example would be when they brought toads to Australia or rabbits to Australia to try to solve one environmental problem, and they just created an environmental nightmare because that animal isn't part of that ecosystem. So my point being, when humans think that they're going to fix an environmental problem, we often make a bigger mess of it. And I think that our environmental manipulation right now, our herding of predators on behalf of ungulates, is one of those examples. So yes, I think we need to back out and leave it alone and watch and be involved and be intelligent and have our scientists looking and watching and have everyone involved in trying to make the best decisions we can. But remembering that we're fallible. We're just these little human beings running around with this great big earth trying to figure out how to solve problems that are so much bigger than we are. So we need to use caution. We need to use much care in trying to tend our environment. And what we're trying to do basically is protect the environment against ourselves. So involving ourselves in that process, it's a questionable way to approach conservation.